Hey guys, so in today's video I'm going to go through the 25 books that I am most wanting to read in the year of 2025. This is quite an ambitious goal for me considering last year I only read 20 books in 2024 and then the year before that I read 28 books. But I think it was 2022 when I read like almost 40 books. I think I read like 38 books. So maybe we can have that type of a reading year, but it is like March 16th and I've only finished 3 books this year, so I need to pick up my pace. But anyway, these are basically the books that, for whatever reason, they're just coming at the top of my mind when I'm thinking of what I want to read next. One of these 25 books is usually at the top. So I'm just going to be giving quite brief synopses of these books and telling you a little bit why I want to read them this year. So with all that said, let me talk to you guys about the 25 books I am going to prioritize this year. So the first book on the list, because I've already read one, was The Blue Castle by Ellen Montgomery. I finished this, I think, at the end of February. But anyway, obviously this is not her most well-known classic novel. Ellen Montgomery is the author of Anne of Green Gables, if you didn't know, which I read last year and absolutely loved, so I did try to prioritize another book of hers that just sounded right up my alley. And spoiler, it was quite right up my alley. I actually really enjoyed this book, but like I said, I'll share more of my thoughts in a future wrap-up video, but one of the 25 is done. So excited about that. The next book on my list is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually currently reading this one. This is the first in a trilogy, and I believe it's completed, like it's just gonna be a trilogy. I wanted to pick this one up because it was described as a cozy fantasy, and I have yet to really like dip my toes in the cozy fantasy world, so I figured this was as good as any to start with, and I am very much enjoying my reading journey with this book, and I very much want to continue on with the series. I actually already bought the second book because I'm liking this one so much. The next 3 books on the list are all by the same author, and that author is Emily Henry. I am kind of far behind on her books right now. I've only read Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation, Happy Place, and then weirdly, I read a long time ago a young adult book of hers called The Love That Split the World, and I did not like it. I think I read that like almost 10 years ago. But anyway, I have some of her backlist books here to read. Funny Story came out last year, Book Lovers came out. I think this one came out before Happy Place, so I don't know why I still haven't picked this one up. But then I also want to read Great Big Beautiful Life by hers, and I just want to be caught up. That's kind of my sole intention in putting 3 of her books on my list of 25 this year, is just because I want to be caught up with Emily Henry books. There is something so kind of like nice to say as a reader. It feels good to have read most, if not all, of an author's books. So at least for Emily Henry, I'd be able to say I've read all of her adult contemporary romance books. There are a couple of young adult books of hers that I haven't read. I think it's called A Million Junes. And then there's another one that's like about aliens, I think. I can't remember the title of that one, but I remember when it came out, I thought it was like a Stranger Things type of inspired story. There's those books. They don't really interest me as much as like her adult contemporary romance ones, so that's why these 3 are on the list. And I'm very excited about Great Big Beautiful Life, but it makes me also think of the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow song that's like at Disney. I'm really expecting them to be 5 stars because People We Meet on Vacation and Happy Place were both 5 stars. Beach Read was like a 3.5-star read, but I would actually like to reread that one just to see if I like it better now that I'm a little older, because I read that when I was like 25. I don't quite remember when I read it, but moving on. Next book on the list is The Wedding People by Alison Espach. I apologize, I don't know how to say that. This book came out last year and it just got so much hype on Bookstagram that I could see, and everyone was loving it. It's basically about this woman who checks in at this hotel and there's a huge wedding going on. And that's all that I really know. I do know one aspect of our main character that I don't know if it's said in the synopsis, like in the summary, so I don't want to say it because I don't remember reading it in the summary, but I do remember reading it in people's like reviews because it's, I guess, a trigger warning. But I don't want to say it just in case you might find it spoilery. It actually made me want to read this book even more knowing that, so if you've read it, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it just seems like it's gonna be a good read and like a fun time also very beachy. I don't know. And then staying on the theme of like beachy reads, I want to continue reading Ellen Hildebrand books. So my next read of hers I hope to be The Hotel Nantucket. This could be easily replaced by The Perfect Couple because I read like the 2 books that are like kind of in front of that book. I guess you could read them out of order. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but there are characters in The Perfect Couple that are also in The Castaways and Beautiful Day, which are 2 of her books that I read last year and really enjoyed. I want to read this one because this one came recommended to me by someone that I got brunch with. It was like a girls' brunch birthday thing, and I met a girl there and she's a huge reader, and this was her like recommendation for me. Clearly I didn't listen because I read 2 of Ellen Hildebrand's other books, but I really want to get to this one. It sounds cute. It's about this girl who works at this hotel and there's a potential haunting or a ghost that haunts the hotel. I don't know, but it seems very beachy. All of Ellen Hildebrand's books are quite beachy and Nantucket-y, so I'm excited to get to this one probably like in the middle of summer this year. A lot of these books on my list are going to be books I'm quite like ashamed to not have read yet. So starting with that type of a book, it's gonna be Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. I picked this one up like 2 years ago on my Kindle, and for some reason I was not really into it after like the first couple of chapters. There was like fashion designers being name dropped when describing clothes, and I do remember like in the second chapter there's like I feel like 7 characters that are introduced by like their first name very casually, and it was hard to like keep up with them or know like how they were relevant to our main character, Magnolia Parks. So I remember not continuing on, but this series has such a loyal, dedicated fan base. I'm starting to get that FOMO. I want to push through, I guess, whatever I was initially feeling whenever I first started this book. And as a Gossip Girl lover, this book seems like Gossip Girl reincarnated. I do also have the next 2 books. I think it's like Daisy Hates and then Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. I impulsively bought those. I think they were like Books A Million was having like a buy 2 get the 3rd free thing. I think that's how I got 3 of them. But yeah, I need to start it at this point. I have the first 3 books. I just need to pick it up. The next book on my list is My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. This is a translated book. It's also book 1 of the Neapolitan Quartet. I did not know this was like the first of a series. This is a very popular, well-loved modern classic, I think is a great way to describe it. I think it's a modern classic. And all I know is that it's just about 2 friends in Italy. And that's all that I kind of needed to know. To be honest, this is a book where the cover gets me so bad. I also like have visions of myself reading this out on the beach. I think it's just the blues and the whites and obviously the ocean here in the cover. So yeah, I would love to read this specifically during the summertime while sitting out by the water. Next on the list is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I have read The Four Winds, The Nightingale, and oh, what's the one of the 2 friends? Firefly Lane. I was blanking on that. So this would be my 4th Kristen Hanna book. I loved The Nightingale, really liked Firefly Lane, did not like The Four Winds. So she's 2 for 3 for me right now. I've heard such great things about this. It's basically about a family that lives in Alaska, and that's all that I really know. Family drama set in Alaska. I really want to get to it though because she does such a good job at instilling so much emotion and heart in her books. The Nightingale and Firefly Lane made me cry, so hoping this does the same. This next one is another book that I feel like everyone and their mother has read and loved so much, and that is Beartown by Frederick, is it Backman or Bachman? I don't know. This is another translated work. I know that this is also set in Alaska. I actually don't think it's set in Alaska, but it's set in like an icy town because ice hockey is like a thing. I'm trying to read it while also talk. Okay, I'm actually not seeing anything about Alaska in here. All that I know is that Beartown is the name of this town. It's about an ice hockey team and the community because something happens where it rocks their ice hockey team, I assume. I feel like I know nothing about this as I'm trying to explain it, but all that I do know is that everyone who has read from this author and then this book specifically just has such amazing things to say about it. This is also the first, and I think there's like two or three books in this like series. So once again, if I read this and like love it, I'll have more books to read after it. I need to just get to it. This is a book that's also been on my bookshelf for probably like 2 or 3 years at this point, so I don't know why I have not picked it up yet. I've totally lost count, so I don't know what number of books we're on. But the next one is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This is a romance contemporary. I believe they like have a one-night stand, which I typically don't like romances that start that way, but this one gets her pregnant. So he, I guess, sticks around to care for her as she journeys through her pregnancy. I don't know, it just sounds really cute. I've never read a book like this before, and I've heard really good things about it, so I'm trusting the reviews that I've seen. This next one is one that I am, once again, deeply ashamed I've not picked up yet, and that's The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This book, I want to say, came out in like 2019? 2020? Like, this book's been around for a while. It's been on my shelf for a while, and I just need to freaking pick it up. I read 2 of Ali Hazelwood's novellas, like, I think a couple of years ago now, and I do remember really liking the way she wrote. It was very digestible and easy to read. So yeah, I have no excuses for why I haven't picked this book up yet, but I'm definitely going to prioritize it this year because I really don't want to let another year go by without me reading a Ali Hazelwood book. This next one is another one that I cannot believe I've gone this long without reading, and once again, it's been on my shelf for a while, and you'll know because I have the old cover of this book, and that's Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. All that I know about this one is that it's I think a friends to lovers, second chance romance, and I eat those up. That's like my favorite type. I love a friends to lovers, I love a second chance, like I love that. So why have I not read this? I've actually not read a Christina Lauren book, to my knowledge. If I have forgotten it, but I don't think I have. But yeah, I truly have no good reason for why I haven't picked this one up yet. But going to prioritize it this year, as I've said all throughout this video. The next book on my list is You with the View by Jessica Joyce. This is just one that, once again, when I think of a book that has romance in it that I want to pick up, this is one of the ones that I think of. I just am not currently in a romance book mood right now. I'm very much in a fantasy mood, which is why I'm reading Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. But when I do get in my romance mood, this is one of the ones that I think about. It's almost like analysis paralysis because I have so many romance books I want to read so badly, but I have so little time to read them that most of the time I end up just scrolling on my phone. So this one's about a girl who I think is on a journey to like do something for her grandmother? I'm trying to read the back really quickly. 2 former high school enemies must reunite for a road trip inspired by their grandparents' broken engagement. That's this one. So yeah, they don't like each other, I guess, but they start to like each other. I also love that a little bit, but Friends to Lovers for me is still top tier. Switching gears here, we have a not romance book because a lot of the rest of these are romances, but this one is Howl's Moving Castle. Actually, now that I say that, doesn't this have a little bit of like a romance or something like that? I need to watch the movie. I've never seen the movie, but I want to read the book first, and this is like middle grade, which I think is wild. But it's basically about this girl who gets cursed to be like an old lady, and that's all that I really know, and that there's a moving castle that I guess I think she's like confined to. All I know is that she's a young girl who becomes an old lady, and that's this book. Next up we have When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is another author that I think I own almost all of her completed works, and I've not read a single book from her. Don't ask me why I buy books and then don't read them. It's a sickness, it's an illness. But I read recently somewhere where it's like when you buy a book and wait years to read it, it's like a gift from your past self. So yeah, I really want to start in on Sarah Adams's books this year, starting with this one because this is the first and kind of like a interconnected series. There's I think 3 books out in this little series right now, but this is the first, and it's about this, I think she's famous and he lives in this small town of Rome, Kentucky, and she I think breaks down in this town and he helps her, but she decides to stay for a little bit to get out of her famous lifestyle, and I guess I fall in love. So that's on the list. The next book I hope to get to this year is Powerless by Elsie Silver. This is the third book in the Chestnut Springs series. I've read the first two books. I read the first one in 2023, the second one in 2024, and I guess I'll be reading the third one in 2025. I would love to finish this series, but as you can see, there's so many other books that I would like to get to this year that I am only going to aim for just the next book in the series. This one follows Jasper, and he is the hockey player who you meet in the first book, because you need to start with the first book in this series because the characters that the other books kind of follow, you kind of meet in the first one. I'm pretty sure you meet all of them in the first one. At least all of the main guys. So yeah, this one is Jasper's story. Next on the list is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. This is one that I'm just very curious to see how I'm gonna feel about. As far as I know, it's about this woman who obviously is very smart and scientifically leaning, but I think she's like forced, or she starts this cooking show, I think. And then I think it's just all about what goes into doing that, but then also being expected to be a wife and a mom and all of that. It's set, I think, in the 60s. As you can see, I don't know much about it, but I do know that the hype around this book was huge a couple years ago. I want to say this was a 2022 release. Yes, this book came out in 2022, and I just didn't pick it up. I bought this copy late last year, so yes, really want to get to it this year, obviously. That's why it's on this list. This next one is called The Comeback Summer by Allie Brady. I would love to read this because I read The Beach Trap the summer of 2023 and really liked it a lot. Like, I felt like the cover did not do that book justice. I talked about it in my last video, but this is their next one. I think they have like 4 books out now at this point, but this is the second one in their, not discography, you know, in the books that they've written, this is the second one they've published. So this follows 2 sisters, and they both kind of have things that they are wrestling with, so they kind of give each other like a challenge to do over the summer, and it's set in Chicago. I read the first one though because the first one was set in Destin, Florida, which I live very close to Destin, Florida, and I actually used to live in Destin once upon a time, so that's why I picked up The Beach Trap. But then it ended up being such a good book that I would love to actually read all of Allie Brady's books. And this is also 2 women under one name author, like Christina Lauren. So that's this one. The next book on the list is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. If you watched my last video, you might be wondering why this one's on the list, but I just want to read more of her books. I really want to read an Abby Jimenez book that's a 5-star for me. I read Part of Your World and Yours Truly last year with the intention to get to this one, but I just never did. I gave the other 2 only like 3.5 stars, going into them expecting to give them 5, and I'm still expecting to give this one 5. And I feel like I've actually seen a couple of people who thought her books were kind of like okay, love this one. So I'm really hoping that this is the one that just really cements my love for Abby Jimenez. Not that the other 2 books were bad. They were good. They just did not blow me away. They were not 5-star reads. But I'm still expecting somehow for this to be 5 stars. I mean, there's a dog on it. I'm really hoping and expecting that this will be the first 5-star read for me from Abby Jimenez. She does have some backlist titles that I also own. But yeah, this is going to be the one that I prioritize most when it comes to her books for 2025. This next one is yet another one that I'm really sorry that I haven't read yet. That's The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. I'm filming this literally like 2 days before Sunrise on the Reaping comes out, so I really want to get to honestly both of the books this year. But if I don't get to Sunrise on the Reaping, I hope to at least get to this one. If you don't know, this is President Snow's like backstory book. It's about his time, I think the first time he serves as like game director. Oh wait, no, this is when he is a mentor to his first game. I'm shocked I've never read it. I haven't seen the movie, so I truly still don't know much about what like actually happens in this book or in this story. So I actually pride myself on not being spoiled for it. So really wanting to get to this one actually quite soon so I can also read Sunrise on the Reaping, because that's Haymitch's story. And I remember reading The Hunger Games for the first time back when I was a teenager, And whenever they would mention Haymitch's time in the games, I was like really curious to know how that went down. So need to get to this one, and then I can feel like I can read Sunrise on the Reaping. And this next one's kind of random, but I really want to read it this year, and that's Betting on You by Lynn Painter. This is a young adult romancy contemporary. As far as I know, this is about two people who did not like each other, and then they start liking each other. I needed a young adult romance to put on this list because even though I am definitely not a young adult anymore, they still hit sometimes, and they're also really good books to read after like a heavy fantasy or a creepy, dark thriller. I usually find myself very much craving a young adult romance after a book like that, so this will be that book that I reach for at some point this year. Alright, so I wasn't keeping count, but I do have a list here on my computer, and I have 2 books that have not come out yet, so I will have to put pictures of them up on the screen because they are priority reads for me when they do come out. The first one is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is her new release that comes out, I think, at the beginning of June. I'm so excited for this one. It's about a female astronaut, and that's all that I know. I mean, it does describe in the synopsis online the other people in her team of astronauts. I don't know much more than that. But yeah, that's that one. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. Saying her name is hard. I've read almost all of them. There's just some backlist ones from like way back when that I haven't read, the more of her romance contemporary backlist books, but all of her books I think published since like 2015 I've read. I don't know, when was Evelyn Hugo published? Ever since then I've read them all, and they've all been amazing reads, so I'm very excited for Atmosphere. And then last but certainly not least, I am actually so stinking excited for this one. It's called One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I have read a Carly Fortune book every summer for the last 3 years. So it started in 2022 with Every Summer After, and then in 2023 I read Meet Me at the Lake, and then last year 2024 I read This Summer Will Be Different. That's the name of that one, right? It's the one set at Prince Edward Island that I talked about in my last video. And so fourth summer with the Carly Fortune book, it's gonna be One Golden Summer, and this is actually kind of a follow-up book to her first book, Every Summer After. So this book follows Charlie's kind of story and his own romance, which is kind of divisive to the people who've read Every Summer After, but I'm really excited about it. I did kind of develop a soft spot for Charlie in the first book. And if you don't know, the first book follows these characters called Sam and Percy. Those are the 2 main characters that fall in love. Percy is the female main character, Sam is the male main character, and Sam has a brother named Charlie. And so One Golden Summer follows Charlie's story. So I'm so excited because Every Summer After and This Summer Will Be Different are honestly tied for first in my favorite Carly Fortune books, with Meet Me at the Lake being one I try to forget that I ever read. Okay, that one wasn't that bad. It wasn't terrible. It just, I wouldn't recommend, to be completely honest. But anyway, all that to say, I'm so excited for One Golden Summer. I think I actually already said that. So yeah, when that comes out, I'm probably gonna drop everything or anything I'm currently reading to pick that one up and read it. But other than that, that should get me at 25 books. I may have 26, I may have 24, but on my Google Word doc, it said that it was 25. So those are the 25 books that I'm hoping to read the rest of this year. Obviously, I read one and I'm about to finish the second one, so the 23 others that I have left that I will be prioritizing. If you read any of these and liked them, please let me know. If you didn't like any of these, please don't let me know because I don't need any negative reviews, because these are books that I'm really truly looking forward to, and also like surely trying to give 5 stars. Like I will be expecting to give all of these books at the very least like a 4.5 out of 5-star rating. That's gonna do it for me in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so excited that I filmed another video like soon after the last one, and I also just wanted to say thank you so much to those of you who commented on my like return to YouTube video that I posted like a week ago. It was truly such a nice warm welcome back, and it made me so excited to keep making videos for you guys. So yeah, just know that I read all of the comments and they filled me with so much love. So thank you so much. I hope to see you guys very soon in my next video. Bye! I feel like I'm talking like an idiot. I need to get back in the zone, girl. Get in the zone. Auto zone.